Well, hey there, Darin Garman here, and I'm excited to talk to you the day before Christmas about one of my favorite things, and that is CCF. What is CCF? CCF is, you probably recognize it by the title of maybe an email, or maybe if you were on Twitter or something and you saw this, we're going to be talking about Christmas cash flow. All right, Christmas cash flow. So what's our target here? What are we after? What we're after today is getting you in a much better, a much different position this time next year. So Christmas Eve day next year, 2019, that would soon be into 2020, than you are now. So we're going to talk about, real briefly, setting targets, some things to think about in terms of your habitual investing, we'll call it, and some things to actually take action on as we get into next year. So let me tell you what this is not going to be like. So this isn't going to be like Dave Ramsey, budget your money and don't spend the $2 on coffee a day, that kind of thing. That's not where we're going here. We're going to be talking at a much bigger, much more macro level. But it's going to be centering you on Christmas cash flow and having that 2019 Christmas Eve day look a hell of a lot different than the 2018 Christmas Eve day. Fair enough? All right, so let me grab my eraser here and let's go ahead and let's get started in talking about some of the things you need to be thinking of. All right, first of all, you need to be changing your attitude about one thing. And hopefully it's become very evident right now. So if you're paying attention to any news, any information, if you're seeing anything out there, you've got to be paying attention to this, and you need to be changing your thought process on the conventional markets. Okay? I have been talking until I've turned blue about what the conventional markets have in store for people that continually depend on and put the majority of their cash, their retirement accounts, and their net worth in conventional markets. So, as of today, we are looking at a government shutdown pretty soon, okay? Also, the stock market, if you've been paying attention, has taken its biggest dip since 2008. All right, so everybody that's watching that thought they made all of this money in March and April of this year has kissed that goodbye. Why does this happen? And this isn't a class on this, but I'm just going to use one word, because it's all flippin' reactionary. All right? It's all reactionary. Every damn part of it's reactionary. And that's what really sucks, because you could be invested in companies that are doing just great, but based on political news, social news, economic news, etc., 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 your investment's based on reaction. Why in the hell would you want the majority of your money in investments based on reaction? The main reason why is because Wall Street wants your money there. Bring us your money, we'll take care of it, we'll go ahead and we'll store it for you, while they continue to earn income and fees and pay all of those employees in those big office buildings to support their infrastructure, right? Why would you want to be in a reactionary investment? It doesn't make sense, really. At least for part of your money, right? So the first thing you need to be thinking of is to be making that move out of conventional markets, at least some of your money, out of conventional markets into apartments, income producing real estate, okay? Why is that? Well, because apartments and income producing real estate, there is no reaction. Right? There is no reactionary process. The market can do whatever the hell market wants to do, but at the end of the day, Bill and Susie and their 2 kids still need to rent an apartment because they need a place to live. Doesn't matter. Right? So think about it just in a macro sense, how much sense that makes. Why would you not be in an investment like that? Right? So that's number one. Segue into number 2. Conventional markets, you need to be thinking of your changes there in your thinking, in your habitual thinking, that just because you see 40 commercials a day while you're watching all the football games about all of the big companies that want your money in their companies and how great the returns are going to be, you know different because you've been paying attention to what the market's doing. You want to start making that migration from the habitual process of being in the conventional markets to being apartments and being in the real estate market. Okay? That's number one. But then that begs the question, okay, Darin, that makes sense. I get that. I understand. I at least want to start strategizing and thinking about moving in 2019 some of my capital, whether it's retirement money or regular money, into more strategic apartment property investment, real estate investments. What kind should I be involved in? That's the next question. All right. So that brings up number 3. You're really going to only have 2 choices here. You're going to have real estate investment trusts. All right. I take that back. There's going to be 3 choices. You're going to have active ownership, all right, or passive ownership. Passive, but I'm going to go ahead and put active below it. Okay, put active below that. All right. Now, what do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? First of all, real estate investment trusts. This is where you can go and buy stock in real estate companies. So again, it's a Wall Street thing. So there are large amounts of real estate companies out there that own properties, and you can buy stock in their companies that own thousands and thousands of apartment units, shopping centers, office buildings, those kinds of things. This is better than nothing. All right? It's passive, so you don't have to worry about any kind of management, which is nice. You've got experts supposedly that are running the show. And doing a good job of hopefully identifying these properties. And number 3, you've got a large amount of units or properties, so you should have a pretty good amount of diversification. In case 2 properties do crappy, you know, the other 8 are doing fine, so you should be okay, right? So this is better than nothing, but this is not ideal in my opinion. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're still buying one of these. That's my drawing of a stock certificate. You're still buying one of those things, all right? You're not really buying real estate, you're buying into a company that owns real estate. So, it's just like buying a stock. Again, better than nothing, but I don't think that's ideal. Second choice is being an active owner. All right, this is basically you go out into your marketplace or another marketplace. You find apartments to own yourself, run and manage yourself. Okay? This, for many people, is a great idea. Many of you would be very, very good at this. Going out into your marketplace and finding that 12-unit building, 24-unit building, 36-unit building, larger, whatever, and running the property yourself. This is a great idea. Great idea. Actually, it is the most ideal situation of all 3 of these. Except there's one problem with it. One problem. You have to deal with management. Right? Management. Now, not a lot of people like to deal with management, especially if you are someone that does not have any experience with this. So that means you've got to ramp up. So you got to start reading books, taking some courses, maybe taking some classes, et cetera, to ramp up in order to intelligently be out in the marketplace starting to buy and own your own properties. Well, the bad news about that is that takes time, effort, energy, takes capital to do that. But really, the biggest thing for me anyway is it takes time. Again, nothing wrong with that. I think this is ideal. But again, it's the biggest reason why more of you, by the way, don't own real estate. Management. You don't want to deal with it, right? You hear stories from Uncle Joe, who used to own a couple single-family homes, and you know what the tenants did to the properties and what he had to do to put up with them or evict them and all that. So you've heard the horror stories from somewhere and like, oh God, there's no way I'm going to deal with that, right? That's why most of you don't own real estate right now, by the way. It's because of that management. So what's the alternative here? What should we be thinking of? That would be being a part of partnerships that own properties, but you get a passive ownership. You get passive ownership activity in it, but you're still considered an active owner. You're a passive owner, but you get all the active owner benefits of being involved in that property. Let me give you an idea quickly how this works. Okay. All right, so let's say we want to buy a 24-unit apartment property. 24 units. Okay? This 24-unit property, we're going to be able to purchase for $800,000. We think it can be worth $1 million within the next year or two, based on being able to raise rents and work on the property and be very proactive in its management. And let's say it's going to give us a cash flow return of 8%. All right? On top of that, now I get to take all of this and I get to take it off in tax deductions. Right? So what this basically means is, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to get about a 13% return, but after I get all my tax deductions, I'm really going to have probably really closer to a 15% return after tax. Okay, now, this is just an example. Here's the cool thing. I can get all of these benefits. I can get the appreciation. I can get the income. I can get all of the tax savings as a result of owning, and I can get a good return, and I can own all of this without having to deal with any kind of management whatsoever. Okay, as a partner in a partnership. So, for example, I have partnerships that have over 200 investors in them. I have partnerships that have as little as 5 or 6 investors in them. Okay, but all of these folks are passive. They get all the active owner benefits, just like they're there nose to nose, toes to toes, dealing with all of the management, but they don't have to deal with anything. And they get the active owner benefits, not a stock in a company. They don't have to manage the property and go through the process of being a good manager and dealing with tenants, toilets, and turnover. They get all the active owner benefits. So I'm telling you, this is where the rubber meets the road for most of you. This is where you should be thinking. How can I own large amounts of apartment properties and investment real estate? And by large amounts, I'm talking hundreds of units. How can I do that and get all the active owner benefits without being an active owner? Well, you want to be involved in a partnership, and you want to be a partner. Okay, now that opens up a whole nother ball of wax. Okay, because that basically is, okay, Darin, how in the hell do I find a good partnership to be involved in? How do I do that? Where do I look? Where do I go? First of all, you want to take your time and do your research. Now, when I say take your time, I don't mean you take a year to do this, because we're talking 2019 here. Okay, but you don't get the idea right now and get involved in a partnership at 3 o'clock this afternoon. You don't do that either. You take your time and you do your research. Who is out there that is doing this, has been doing this for a long time, who has a track record, okay, and can provide references. All right, so let's just talk about these 3 real quick. You want to be dealing with people that run and manage and oversee these partnerships. This is what they do. Okay, this is what they do. All right, they've been doing it for a long time. I'm talking 20, 25 years or longer. You don't get involved with someone that it's their first partnership venture and would you like to join them? Now, it could work out fine, right? But would you rather do that or work with someone that has years of experience and knows the process, right? So, I would say at least in that 20-year ballpark. You want to be in that range, okay? Track record. Again, this has to do with maybe years of experience, but also properties owned. Properties owned. That should be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way. Not 80,000, not $1 million. Hundreds of millions of dollars owned. Okay? Important. Why? Because all properties are different. Some properties are going to be easy to run and easy to manage. Other properties are going to be challenging. It's just the way it is. And so you want someone that knows all of the ins and outs and can deal with not only the properties that work great, but also the properties that might be a challenge, and to rectify that process in those situations with those properties to maximize your income and your return. And you do that with track record. That's the only way you do that. You only do, in other words, you want someone that's got the experience. Okay, experience with properties, multiple properties, right? Then number 3, references. You need to have someone provide you references. Now, here's like the litmus test for you. If someone does not want to do this, provide you references, or they can't, and I mean at least 3, okay? I'm talking 3 references. I'm going to put that number right here. That is a big red flag. Okay, 3. I kind of make a joke. I sent an email here yesterday, I believe. You know, I've had people ask me for up to 15. Well, I'm not going to provide you 15. I mean, it's a little overkill. I'll provide you a handful, 5, 6, 7. Well, I mean, that's fine. But I'm not going to provide you 15. But here's the key here. Here's the key. You want at least 3. If they can't provide you 3, you already know it's not going to work. Okay? So, 1, you take a while, you do your research. Take your time here. Don't rush. But again, don't wait until August to make decisions. Number 2, do they have track record? Right? Number 3, references. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Easy to whiteboard it, right? But a little bit harder for you to process all of that, which you need to do. All right, so what's the last thing we need to talk about here in order to do this? All right, pretty easy, pretty easy. All right, the last thing is you need to set a target date. Set a target date. And you need to do this now. Sit down over the holidays as you are spending time with friends, family, whatever. You're going to have some downtime. Okay, you're going to have some downtime. So, between all of the things you're involved in, sit down and think of realistic target dates for you, right? For really 2 areas of your money. 1, what I call regular money. So some of you have a fair amount of capital sitting in accounts, just sitting there. Maybe they're in some of these Wall Street accounts that we're talking about. Holy cow, right? You can imagine how much sleep you got over the last couple months. Maybe they're sitting in a CD, all right? Maybe they're sitting in a money market account, whatever. You probably have some money regular. How much and how much do you want to comfortably invest in your next apartment project, right? Okay, 2, IRA 401k. Okay. Try that again here. I think I can write 401k. There we go. For most of you, your biggest, what I will call pile of money, is in your IRA or 401k, right? And so this is the other place to be thinking of moving some of that money into apartment properties, because all that stuff we just went over, you can get all those benefits tax deferred. Not a bad idea, right? So you want to set a target date for when you are going to deploy these monies into an apartment project, okay? Now, this isn't going to be a time where we're going to talk about where does it need to be located and how many units does it need to be, how many bedrooms and bath. We're not going to get into that right now. This is just conceptual stuff, okay? But this is where you need to be thinking of and have a target date. And I would say at the very most, your target date here needs to be, I'd say no later than 3/30 of 19. Okay, no later than 3/30 of 19 for that target date. In order to get deployed, your money deployed, because that's the way I look at it. All right, so you want to have Christmas cash flow this time next year. You want a much different story to have, to tell, to think about, to share or not share this time next year. These are the things you need to be thinking about. Because if you don't, and nothing changes, then nothing is going to change. So would you agree with me that you've got to have, if you want different outcomes, you've got to think differently and have different decision-making processes and be a different person in a way in order to achieve that? You do. Because if you don't, nothing's going to change. And so these are your first steps. Okay. So I'll give you one final thing that I think can be helpful to you. If this is something that makes sense to you, I have a little kit I put together, and it's an electronic kit, by the way, and it's basically the 2019 apartment investment kit. Okay? Now, what this kit basically is you just send me an email, say, hey Darin, send me information on that kit, and I will send you basically kind of a step-by-step process of what you need to do in order to get your money deployed. Okay? In order to get your money deployed. All right, this is no cost, there's no obligation. I'll go ahead and I'll send this kit to you, and it'll be sent electronically, so I'm not going to send it through the regular mail. It'll be sent electronically, but it'll give you kind of a step-by-step process on what you need to do in order to get your money deployed as quickly as you can, but also taking as much time as you need in order to make some good and some informed decisions. All right, so all you need to do is 2019 apartment investment kit. Just get in touch with my office, just send me an email, and just basically say, hey Darin, can you send me that 2019 apartment investment kit info? We'll get that sent over to you, and then you can go through that process in getting things going for yourself here in 2019 and get that deployed and have a hell of a much different outcome this time next year, as you have going on today, right before Christmas. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you on this Christmas Eve day. Have a great Christmas holiday, please, and we will talk to you after Christmas. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.